came back, I saw there'd been many renovations, and now it's extended in so many ways from the early days. And now again, renovations going on. So it's very pleasing to see. And it's also very pleasing to see so many dedicated people coming forward. So many Brahmins. How many Brahmins were there? Nicely doing the Abhishek of Lord Nityananda and Lord Chaitanya this morning. Very expertly doing the Abhishek. So many ladies coming forward as Brahmins to bathe the deities. So we have a very good community here that's developed over these years, thanks to all the older devotees who have carried on the message of Srila Prabhupada and Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So today is a very auspicious day, the appearance day of Lord Nityananda, the very close associate of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I've compiled some notes here, so some of the important issues about Nityananda that we need to know. So before we start, as always, we'll do our Mangalarchana prayers, because we're always asking for blessings. We're always asking blessings of the previous devotees and our spiritual master. Without the mercy of the spiritual master, he opens our darkened eyes. We can know nothing. So we're always asking for blessings. This movement is based on blessings. And I see so many of you have taken initiation. So you've taken very seriously the message that our previous gurus have given us. So let us all chant together the Mangalarchana prayers. If you don't know those prayers, I would suggest that you take a look at them, and you can find it generally in the Bhagavad Gita. Srila Prabhupada translated so many wonderful books. Bhagavad Gita is very important. So at the beginning of that, at the beginning of the introduction, the Mangalarchana prayers are given there, and the meaning is given there. So take some time to look at that and learn that. But to bring auspiciousness, auspiciousness is already here, but let's rain down that mercy of our previous acharyas and beg for their blessings. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manavistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadam Hayam Tadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Haribol. Wonderful. So pleasing. So, we'll just start with this now. So Nityananda's appearance day. So in this age of Kali Yuga, Lord Krishna advents in this material world as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he comes along with Balaram, appearing as Lord Nityananda. So Nityananda is also known as Nitai, Nityananda Prabhu, Nityananda, Ram, so many names he goes under. So he took the role of Lord Chaitanya's personal associate for massively spreading the chanting of the holy names of Lord Krishna in the form of Harinam Sankirtan. So he distributed the mercy of Lord Krishna to all the very fallen, materially conditioned souls in this age by congregational chanting of the Lord's holy names. So we know that Lord Nityananda was very instrumental in assisting Lord Chaitanya in spreading this wonderful message. So sometimes we forget the potency of the holy names. Here we are in the fallen age of Kali Yuga, and yet Lord is giving us the highest opportunity to attain to the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, to finish the cycle of birth and death, to attain the highest goal and perfect our human lives and go back home, back to Godhead like that. So according to the teachings of our acharyas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cannot be approached or fully understood without the mercy of Lord Nityananda, without the mercy of Nityananda Prabhu. So Nityananda is considered to be the original Guru, the Adi Guru. So we need a Guru, we need the spiritual master, we need them to open our darkened eyes. Without the message of the Guru, we'll still be wandering around in ignorance. We cannot directly approach Lord Krishna. So Guru is very important. But it's also very important to understand that we can only attain the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu when we get the mercy of Nityananda. Okay. So who is Nityananda? So we understand that he is an incarnation of Balaram. But who is Balaram? We have, on the altar we have Jagannath, Baladev and Subhadra Devi. Jagannath we know is Lord Krishna. Balaram is his elder brother, and Subhadra, his sister, is there. But who is Balaram? So it's considered that Balaram is the very first expansion of Lord Krishna. And they say he is actually non-different to Krishna, but he's known as the Supreme Personality of Servitor Godhead. So Lord Krishna is there, the Adi Purusha. Every morning we sing Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So we understand through the teachings of our previous acharyas, our Srila Prabhupada has given this very clear message that Krishna is the original Supreme Personality of Godhead, and from him everything else expands. So his first expansion is Balaram, who they say is non-different from him. But he comes in the form of a servitor. He's always serving Lord Krishna. He's always wanting to enhance Krishna's service. So he manifests as the shoes of Lord Krishna, as the flute of Lord Krishna, as the ornaments of Lord Krishna, all the paraphernalia of the Lord, all the paraphernalia we use in the worship of the Lord. We understand that's Balaram, the land, and so on. Everything emanates from Balaram. So Krishna is there, the supreme enjoyer, playing his flute, enjoying loving pastimes in the spiritual realm. Then he expands as Balaram to facilitate all the spiritual world, all the land and the paraphernalia in the spiritual world. So where do we hear about these things? We hear about all these things in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we have Bhagavad Gita, ABC of spiritual life, very important. Never underestimate the power and potency of Bhagavad Gita. And they say the postgraduate study is Srimad Bhagavatam. Very important. Lord Chaitanya said 5 principal things that are very potent forms of devotional service, and one of them is hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. So this is a very important thing. But then of course we have Chaitanya Charitamrita, and then, well actually that's what Srila Prabhupada calls the postgraduate study. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we hear about the wonderful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his loving associates. And we find that when we study Chaitanya Charitamrita, so much time they're quoting from the Srimad Bhagavatam and explaining, expanding on the meaning of the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it explains about how the Chaturvyuha expands from Balaram. So first expansion Balaram, from him the Chaturvyuha expands. Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, Pradyumna. We've heard these terms, and it can become quite confusing. We have to read these things a few times. So they're all expansions, manifestations of Lord Balaram. The first expansion from Krishna, the Adipurusha. And then from Lord Balaram, then all the Vishnus, the Mahavishnu, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, the Kshirodakshaya Vishnu, they're all expansions from Balaram. So then this Balaram, he comes as Lord Nityananda to facilitate the pastimes once again of Lord Chaitanya. So we understand as well that this special personality who is manifesting as Balaram to Sri Krishna, he also comes as Lakshman to Sri Rama, and Nityananda to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So all these things are explained in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and especially if you want to read more about this in more detail, in more depth, then the 5th chapter of the Adi, I can't even think of the word in that.
Kondo. Adilila.
What to do? So the 5th canto of the Adi Lila is where this is given in a lot of information about Lord Nityananda and who he actually is. So we need to read these things many times, and then slowly we begin to assimilate the understanding, the realizations. So earlier on today, we heard a very nice song, which is written by Narottam Das Thakur, and he's one of the great acharyas in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya. So we're coming in the line of the Brahma, Madhava, Gaudiya Sampradaya. And that is why the potency is there in this movement, because it's not some whimsical thing that Srila Prabhupada has made up, or he thinks it's a good idea. No, he's coming in this authorized line, and the potency is there, and we can see that in the amount of devotees that come forward, take up this process, and really make a big transformation in their lives. So we were hearing from that bhajan this morning that is written by Narottam Das Thakur. So he's one of the acharyas in this great line of Guru Parampara. He's written many beautiful bhajans in glorification of the Lord. These bhajans are prayers, they're poems. So we can take these bhajans. We all have these, song books, and many songs are in there. But they're not just songs to sing in a melodious way, but they're actually prayers that we can meditate on very deeply to take our Krishna consciousness to a deeper level. So it's very important that we understand not just the words. First of all, we learn the words, we learn the melody, but then we want to go on to understand the deeper meaning and pray them, from the heart of hearts like that. So they sang this morning Nitai Padakamala, beautiful prayer to Lord Nityananda. And it's said in this prayer, in this bhajan, that one will get the soothing moonlight of millions of moons when one takes shelter of Lord Nityananda's lotus feet. So the soothing moonlight of millions of moons. Here in Malaysia it's very hot, and we find, we have to have the fans going, we have to have the aircon on so that we can survive. But in the evening time, when the moon is shining, there's some relief. It's a bit cooler. So can you imagine the relief of 1 million moons? And that's how they describe the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. In the material, in the purport to this, the the verse. Srila Prabhupada has written a very nice purport, and in there he says that this material world, there's always a blazing fire. Everyone is struggling hard to find peace. And therefore, Narottam Das Thakur advises, if we really want to find peace in the world, we need to take shelter of Lord Nityananda's lotus feet, like the cooling shining of the million moons, for they will bring us relief that we will, and the peace that we're all searching and hankering for. Then he writes in the same bhajan that if one actually wants to enter into the dancing party of Radha Krishna, the eternal Leela of Sri Sri Radha Krishna, then we must firmly catch hold of the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda. So on this special day, it's an opportunity to really meditate on Lord Nityananda, to pray to Lord Nityananda. We have beautiful deities in this temple, offer our heartfelt prayers, beg for the lotus feet of Nityananda, that we can become good, sincere, dedicated devotees, that they will guide us on our path, on our journey back home, back to Godhead. So through his lotus feet, through the lotus feet of Lord Nityananda, we can get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And then through the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we can approach Radha Krishna. We can't approach Radha Krishna directly. We have to go through an authorized system. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Nityananda have made it very easy for us. And Srila Prabhupada has given us a wonderful formula, that if we follow this formula, we're guaranteed success. So this is the process. Servant of the servant of the servant. Das and Das and Das. As Lord Chaitanya has taught us. He's giving the highest gift of love of God, and he's showing us the method how to achieve it. So today, we want to talk a little more about details about Lord Nityananda. So first of all, we'll talk something about Lord Nityananda's appearance and his childhood, and then how he went on pilgrimage. We'll talk a little bit about that. Then his meeting with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his distribution of Krishna Prema. And then we'll say a few of Lord Nityananda's pastimes. Hare Krishna. So we'll start off by talking about Lord Nityananda's appearance in childhood. So a bit of historical thing. So these are historical characters, not mythology. Sometimes people talk about, Krishna's pastimes, and the modern view, not the devotee view, but the modern view is that some legend, some mythology. But no, Lord Krishna actually came here 5,000 years ago. And Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda came here just over 500 years ago, which is not very long in the great history of the world. So Nityananda Prabhu, he appeared in this world in the year 1473 in Ekachakra Dham. So some of you may have been to Ekachakra. Put your hand up if you've been to Ekachakra Dham. Hare Krishna, very fortunate souls. I have not even been there myself yet. I'm still hankering to go there one day. But I've heard it's a very beautiful place, and it's still not overly built up. So you can still feel the wonderful essence of what it would have been like in Lord Nityananda's time. Of course, then it was just a village. So we appeared in Ekachakra Dham, which was a small village in West Bengal. And it's about 4 hours drive from Mayapur Dham. So there's a temple there named Garbhasva that has been built to commemorate the place of Lord Nityananda's appearance. So Nityananda Prabhu was called Nitai as a child. They all knew him as Nitai. And he appeared on the auspicious 13th day, the Triyodashi, of the bright fortnight of the month of Magha. And he was born to the son of a pious Brahmin couple whose names were Hadai Pandit and Padmavati. And they loved him very dearly, as did all the residents of Ekachakra. They were completely absorbed in their love for little Nitai. So it's like like we imagine the spiritual world. Go look at Vrindavan where Krishna, Mother Yashoda, Nanda Maharaj, and the loving devotees there. So this Ekachakra was like that. Nitai was born there, and everybody loved him very dearly. So as a child, in his play, he would reenact the pastimes of Lord Krishna and the pastimes of Lord Ram. So him and his friends would be roaming around the fields, roaming around the village, but always engaged in different pastimes of Lord Krishna and Lord Rama. And for the first 12 years of his life, he was always relishing and reenacting these wonderful pastimes. Sometimes the villagers were astonished to see how he could know so many stories, so many of the pastimes of Lord Krishna and Lord Ram. And he would just laugh and say, "They are my pastimes." So they couldn't understand who he was. To them, he was their little Nitai. He was their dear village boy, very beautiful and very kind-hearted, very loving, and they all loved him very dearly. So nobody could really understand who Nityananda was or what was going to happen in the future. But everyone was eager to take part and witness these beautiful leelas taking place. So he'd become so absorbed in these pastimes that he'd forget all sense of time. And one time, there's a famous story there, they were reenacting the Ramayana, and Lakshman became fatally wounded, like that. So Nitai was playing that part, and he actually became unconscious and couldn't be revived. And so everybody was really worried. There they were playing this, enjoying this pastime, but Nityananda, Nitai, had fallen down, had become unconscious, and he was really unconscious. And they were trying to wake him up and trying to get him to get up, and they were all worried and they didn't know what to do. And they went and told his parents as well, Nitai is unconscious, we don't know, we can't wake him up. And then one of the boys, one of the cowherd friends said, "Oh, I remember now, before we started this play, he told us that," because Nityananda would direct all the plays, he'd give everybody the different parts and tell them what was going to happen and what they were going to do. So this one devotee who was playing the part of Hanuman, this boy said, "Oh, Hanuman's supposed to go and get the sacred herbs to bring him back to life." So quickly, the devotee who was playing the part of Hanuman rushed on, went on, found some herbs, brought them back, brought them to Nityananda, put them under his nose, and slowly he revived and came back to consciousness. So absorbed was he in the pastimes that he became immersed in those pastimes. And just on a side note there, you may know that I've also been involved in lots of dramas and reenactments of different pastimes over the years in my Krishna company. We used to do dramas here. Even in the early days we did dramas. But it's such a wonderful way to absorb your mind in the pastimes of the Lord and to bring this message out. So I'm happy to see that the devotees who look after the children's club here, she's probably here, I've seen her here, her and her husband are here. And they're doing, many dramas with the children. So please get involved in those. Help her, help the devotees to put on these dramas. There's so many different aspects to dramas, not just the acting, but there's the preparation of the script, there's getting the costumes ready, all the props, anyway. So we can see that even Nityananda reenacted pastimes. So when we do that, it's a great opportunity to immerse ourselves in the wonderful Leela of the Lord. I've really enjoyed that in my time in Krishna consciousness. In fact, when I go back from here, I'm going to India first, and I'm going to Vrindavan for a while, but then I'm going back to England. I was hoping to stay for Mayapur in India, but we're putting on a dramatic performance of the Ramayana in England. We did a big performance last year, it was about an hour long, and they had a cast of, felt like 1 million, about 50 people were taking part in it. People helping with the face paints, people helping with the props, people helping with costumes, the children playing different parts, the adults playing, so many aspects. So we put a nice performance on last year, and we've been asked to put it on again in March this year. So that's why I'm cutting my stay a little bit short, going back because I have a small part in that. There's a big team of us, work closely together. This is just a side note. So back in the day, I was very fortunate. I played the part of Sita in the Ramayana, but guess what now my part is? Mantra. Oh, Mantra, the evil Mantra. So there you go. But it doesn't matter what part we play. Sometimes playing the demon parts is even more enjoyable than playing the hero parts. Hare Krishna. Just a side So it's said that Lord Nityananda is said to have a whitish complexion of Lord Balaram. He's very attractive and his voice is very deep and very melodious. So the second part of my presentation is talking about the pilgrimage of Lord Nityananda. So when he became to the age of 13, nicely brought up in the village, everybody's very happy having their darling Nitai there, watching his pastimes. Then one day, a traveling sannyasi came to the village, and this person was named Lakshmi Pati Tirtha. So, he was very taken up with Nitai. He saw the beauty of him, he saw the transcendental qualities of Lord Nityananda. So he requested Nitai's parents to send their son with him as a companion. While his parents were very pious and very committed to Vedic culture, so how could they refuse the request of a saintly traveling mendicant? What could they do? They had to do it. So very reluctantly, they parted with their beloved son Nitai. So it was a very sad time for everyone. All the villagers were overcome by grief to see their beloved Nitai leave. But they loved him like their own child, and actually even more so. Just like in Krishna's pastimes, all the residents of Vrindavan, they loved their own children, they loved their children and did whatever, but they loved Krishna even more. They loved Balaram even more than their own children. So his father, Hadai Pandit, was devastated when Nitai left, 13-year-old boy. He just couldn't cope. So he was unable to stand the separation of his divine son, and after a short time, Hadai Pandit passed away from this mortal world. He couldn't stand the separation. So then, Lord Nityananda toured many holy places in North and South India for 20 years. So for 20 years he went traveling, visiting so many holy places. He went to, I put a list here. So these are all like very important places that when we get to the stage of Vanapras, I mean, we try and go to India and go to the holy places now, but generally when you're in the working life, you only get like two weeks of work. It's hard to have enough time to go and see many places. But then we can look forward to the retired stage, the Vanaprast, and that's a big topic that we could talk about. I'm also consider myself in that stage of life now. So at that time we can go and visit all these holy places. So I've got a whole list of here of places that Lord Nityananda visited. Gaya, Kashi, Prayag, Mathura, Govardhan, the Govardhan Hill, Hastinapur, or Delhi as we call it now, Dwaraka, Ayodhya, Haridwar, and many more places. And after that he went to Badarik Ashram in the Himalayas. So that's also many devotees go there on pilgrimage. Nowadays it's quite a fashion or a fad that people have retreats and they go together in a group and go and visit these holy places. Very good idea. Very good idea. I went on a few of these retreats with some devotees from London. They organised. I went to visit 2 or 3 of these holy places. It's a very good way to go. Go on your own, you kind of miss things and you have to look into, you have so many hardships, but they'll arrange all the accommodations, they'll arrange all the prasad, and they'll take you to holy places and explain all the meanings. So it's a great way of seeing holy places. So he went to Badarik Ashram in the Himalayas, and he visited the ashram of Srila Vyasadeva. And he said that he met Vyasadeva there, and they had many deep discussions. So they say that Vyasadeva is still living hidden in the Himalayas, but we can't see him now. So they say he's still there. So 500 years ago, Lord Nityananda met him and had some deep conversations. Also, while he was on his pilgrimage tour, he also met Madhavendra Puri, another great devotee. And Madhavendra Puri, if you've read Chaitanya Charitamrita or heard so many stories, you'll understand that he's actually, Madhavendra Puri is the guru of Ishwara Puri. So Ishwara Puri is the spiritual master of a very famous personality. Can you shout out who? Gauranga Mahaprabhu, yes. Yeah. So Nityananda met Madhavendra Puri, and Madhavendra Puri is the guru of Ishwara Puri, who is the guru of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also met Brahmananda Puri, and they were all great devotees of Lord Krishna. So I believe this is right, I haven't got it down now, but he became a disciple of Lakshmi Pati Tirtha. That's right, Nityananda. And he was the spiritual master of Madhavendra Puri or Ishwara Puri. Madhavendra Puri. Okay. So this is why we cannot certainly be expected to remember everything. But when we're in the association of devotees, we help one another. And we try to understand this great wisdom, this great knowledge. So every year we might have Nityananda Trayodashi. Every year we hear, sometimes we hear the same things, but every time we hear it, we understand a little bit deeper, a little bit better. Hare Krishna. So finally arrived at Jagannath Puri, where Nityananda took darshan of Lord Jagannath. And it said that when he saw Lord Jagannath, he drowned in an ocean of bliss upon seeing the deity of the Lord. And then from Jagannath Puri, he returned to Mathura. So 20 years he was traveling around to all these different holy places. So then we'll move on to the meeting of Lord Chaitanya. So Nityananda Prabhu finally met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Navadvip in the year 1506. So by that time he was 32 years old. So remember, he was 13 when he left home with Lakshmi Pati Tirtha, travelled around. It was only when he was 32 that he met Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And at that time, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was just 20 years old. So he was in household life at the time. When he's 24, he takes sannyas and goes off and does his tours of South India, that's when his preaching really starts. So their meeting of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda is described as intensely loving and full of divine exchange. The two brothers hugging and crying at their reunion. Their reunion, they hadn't met in this life. Their reunion means Krishna and Balaram meeting again. So they both knew who each of the personalities were. But not everybody knew. They couldn't understand. But Chaitanya and Nityananda, they knew. So they began to dance and chant in ecstasy of love of God. So Chaitanya acknowledged Nityananda as an incarnation of Lord Balaram and Krishna's eternal brother. So he knew. So Lord Nityananda, in his role as the original spiritual master, he played a very, very important and major role in spreading the Yuga Dharma of Sankirtan all over Gaudadesh. And Gaudadesh includes Bengal and Odisha. So Lord Chaitanya sent him to Navadvip and the surrounding areas to widely preach the message of Sankirtan, the congregational chanting of the holy names. Because this is the whole reason, so many reasons why Chaitanya came, but the external reason is that he wanted to flood this world with the holy names of Krishna. He made a prediction that these holy names, this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, would be spread to every town and village all over the world. And now we can see through the great mercy of Srila Prabhupada that he came to the West. At that time, many people thought he just meant India, spread all over India. No, Prabhupada, on the teachings of his own spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, again coming in that Guru Parampara. When they first met, the spiritual master told him, "You're an educated young man. You should take these teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in English and spread these teachings to the whole world." So Prabhupada couldn't act on that at that time. He was a young man, student, married man, family. He worked and studied and all the things that we have to do in our lives also. And it wasn't until much later, when he's 69, 70, that he actually took that message of his spiritual master to the West. But he always had that message in his heart. So sometimes we see that, oh, I'm very tied up now, grihasta, got children, small children, big children, so many responsibilities, so many duties. But if we keep that message in the core of our hearts, that message that the gift we've been given from our spiritual master. And then as we come to the next stage, the Vanaprastha stage, while we still have our health and strength, then let us put ourselves more sincerely into assisting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in Lord Nityananda, in spreading this message all over the world. Just one little point then. If Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was personally present, he is personally present. He's in his deity form here. Beautiful Nitai Gaura Sundar here, being worshipped nicely. But if Nityananda were to come walk along the street now, come along here, where do you think he would go? He'd go to Thaipusam, where all the crowds of people are. He'd be there. Because he would widely preach. When he was there, he would widely preach. He'd go to everyone. He'd go to the most fallen souls. He'd go to liquor shops. It said that he even went into liquor shops to preach the glories of the holy name. And we know that he was very humble. He'd fall at the feet of people, somehow or other chant these holy names, lead a pious life, chant these holy names, perfect your life, and go back home, back to Godhead. Don't waste your time wandering in this material world. So Thaipusam is a time of gathering of many, many souls. Many of our sincere, dedicated devotees, brahmacharis, are there now at the Thaipusam. They've been there a couple of days, setting everything up, ready to meet and greet the pilgrims with our wonderful books, because we know, each one of us, that when we read those books, when we heard those teachings, it transformed our lives. And we want to also, Lord Chaitanya's message and his mission, and Lord Nityananda's mission, is to make everybody fortunate, spread this wonderful message that we've been given, perfect your own life, but also help others. So Thaipusam, festivals, Harinam Sankirtan, Ratha Yatra, all these are great opportunities to going out and spreading this message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyway. So, Lord Nityananda, his mercy was unlimited, and the very fortunate people that came in contact with him, they relished the nectar of his instructions, and they also became inundated with love of God, just like us. We heard from the devotees, we bought some books, we started to chant, we started to come to the temple, and now we see so many sincere devotees transform their lives. So my humble request to you all is, never give up. No matter what challenges come in life, no matter what difficulties come, no matter what calamities come, and believe me, it's a roller coaster. We've all gone through so many things, ups and downs, but we need to learn how to ride the waves, surf those waves, not give up. We've got this human form of life. They say this human form of life is like a favourable boat, a well-constructed boat. And the Vedas, all this Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhagavad Gita, all this Vedic wisdom, they're like favourable winds that will guide us across this ocean of material existence. But the spiritual master, he's the captain of the ship. Okay, so let's not waste this great gift we've been given, and always take, no matter what happens, keep that association of devotees, develop the good qualities that will come when we chant but help to develop them and help one another when we go through the ups and downs of life and difficulties. Be there to help one another. That's why community is very important. Anyway, so I've got here a little pastime about Raghunath Das Thakur. So Raghunath Das is one of the 6 Goswamis. So 6 Goswamis. On our altar we have this Guru Parampara, we have the deities, but we have this picture of the 6 Goswamis as well. So they were associates of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda. They were around at that time. So Raghunath Das was one of those 6 Goswamis. And he started the celebrated Danda Mahotsava festival of Panihati, and under the instruction of Nityananda, and was able to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in that way. So one day, Raghunath Das, he received news that Nityananda Prabhu had arrived at Panihati. So Raghunath Das, very humble devotee, very sincere, very dedicated soul. He was actually born in a very rich family, but his family, he wanted to join Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the family wouldn't let. He didn't want to go into household life, he didn't want to go into, he wanted to be a renunciate, he just wanted to give up everything. But the family were a very rich family and they tried to keep him back, you know. But one day he heard that Nityananda was around. He'd arrived at Panihati. So Raghunath Das took permission from his father and he went to meet Sri Nityananda Prabhu. And Nityananda was accompanied by many kirtan singers, many servants, many associates. So it was a big group, a big Harinam group there. So at Panihati, Raghunath Das saw Lord Nityananda sitting on a rock under a huge banyan tree on the banks of the river Ganges, surrounded by many devotees. So Raghunath Das was very impressed, and he saw the radiance, the effulgence emanating from Nityananda Prabhu. So he was a very humble devotee, so he hesitated to go close. He didn't feel himself worthy to be close to the presence of Nityananda. So out of his humility, he paid his obeisances from a distance. But some devotees noticed him and they told Nityananda Prabhu. Like I say, he came from a very rich family and a very well-to-do aristocratic family. So then Lord Nityananda called Raghunath Das forward and playfully accused him of being a thief. Because Nityananda had a very sort of playful personality. He was sometimes called like an avadut as well, and he wouldn't always subscribe to all the rules and regulations. He was on a different platform. He was on a different platform like that. So he accused him of hiding away like a thief and paying his obeisances in the distance. So he said, Raghunath Das, you are hiding like a thief. Come here. Today I shall punish you. Then he forcibly caught hold of Raghunath Das and blessed him by placing his lotus feet on his head. And he ordered Raghunath Das to celebrate a big festival, feed all the devotees chip rice and yogurt as a form of punishment. So this festival is still being celebrated yearly by devotees in Panihati, and if you're very fortunate, you might be able to take part in that festival. So many people are fed, devotees go there and they make a big deal of this. So Lord Nityananda, he knew who Raghunath Das was. He knew he came from a rich family. So in his humour, his transcendental humour, he called him a thief and he told him to come there. But then out of his great mercy, he put his lotus feet on his head. So how fortunate is Raghunath Das Goswami. So then there's of course another famous story that shows the great mercy of Lord Nityananda. That he preached to the likes of Jagai and Madai. So I don't want to be disrespectful, but there might be a few Jagai and Madais hanging around the edges of Thaipusam, you know. I don't want to be disrespectful, you know, but there might be a few hanging around there. But Jagai and Madai actually were born in pious families, but then became very degraded, and they were drinking wine and, intoxication. Not only that, but they were always disturbing people, and they were very well known in the area as being, everyone wanted to keep away from them. They were always ready to have a fight. Became very demoniac in their mentalities. And Lord Nityananda and Haridas Thakur, they used to go out together preaching. So when they saw Jagai and Madai, well, first they heard the disturbance and they saw all the people running away. And then the two brothers were fighting and swearing profanities and disturbing people and intoxicated with all kinds of things. Haridas said, no, I don't think we should approach them. Let's, they got too far gone. But Nityananda, very merciful, he went forward and he went up to the brothers and said, please, take the holy names, give up your degraded life, take the holy names and worship Lord Krishna. Of course, they just laughed in their faces and told them to clear off, and they chased them, and Haridas Thakur and Nityananda ran off. Anyway, they went back to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and he told them, just try and preach these mercies. Next day they went out again, saw Jagai Madai again. Again Haridas is saying, no, I think let's keep away from them, they're too far gone. But Nityananda, very merciful, again he approached Jagai Madai, the two brothers. The two brothers became very angry this time, and one of them picked up a stone, one of the pots, the clay pots, and he picked up a broken piece of pot, and he threw it at the head of Nityananda and caused blood to fall from his head. What did Nityananda do? Did he shout at them? Did he ask for revenge? No. He bowed down his feet and said, never mind, but still, take up this holy name. Please chant Hare Krishna and lead a holy life like that. Meanwhile, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu heard this, he came rushing there with his Sudarshan chakra, ready to kill Jagai and Madai. But Nityananda, he stopped them. He stopped Chaitanya. He said, no, my Lord Chaitanya, this whole incarnation, you've come to deliver these very fallen souls. We have to kill their demoniac natures, their demoniac personality, their demoniac tendencies. If you kill them, you may as well kill everybody. So we can see from that Lord Nityananda is even more merciful than Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Balaram is always wanting to serve Krishna and always helping him. And Nityananda, as the form of Balaram, is always wanting to serve Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission was to save the fallen conditioned souls in this age, to widely spread this, to enable the fallen people in Kali Yuga to come back home, back to Godhead. And Nityananda is showing how his great compassion that he would personally go out and deliver this message. So devotees, this is also a message, wherever you go, wherever you meet, tell them something about Krishna. Your colleagues at work, your friends, your family members. Some of them might not want to hear too much, but give them a little prasadam. And when they're going through times of trouble, recommend that they chant this Hare Krishna mantra, because it can transform the lives of so many people. So time is marching on, so we'll have to move on a little bit. Miss out some of my notes, I think. I'll just say a little something about Nityananda. First of all, he was like an avaduta, but Lord Chaitanya told him to get married. And he had two wives, Janavamata, and the other one was Vasudha. Vasudha or Janavamata. Vasudha had two children, Virabhadra and Gangamata, Gangamai or Gangamata. But actually Vasudha passed away. After some time she passed away. And Janavamata took charge of the two children. Janavamata was a very powerful personality also. And she also became very instrumental in preaching the message of Nityananda, preaching the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And she was very much respected by the devotees at that time. There's a big debate going on about, ladies and this one, ongoing thing. But just to say that Janavamata, She was one of the people that first started the very first, worked closely with the devotees. They respected her very much. And she, the very first Gorpanim festival, she was instrumental in helping that come to fruition. Oh, how are we doing for time? Let's have a look. Oh, one story, I'll just tell one little story that once Chaitanya Mahaprabhu invited Nityananda to accept lunch at his home. At this time he was living at home with Sachimata. So the two of them went to the home of Sachimata. And Sachimata was a fantastic cook, and she always liked to serve and make beautiful feasts. So she got the two lords to sit down for lunch. And okay, so as Mother Sachi happily served them food, they began to eat with relish. Then there was 2 plates of food there. Then suddenly it seemed another plate of food was there. So Sachimata went into the kitchen to go and get some more food to fill up this 3rd plate. But when she returned, to her surprise and bewilderment, she didn't see Chaitanya and Nityananda there. She saw 2 very little attractive boys in the place of Chaitanya and Nityananda. One of the boys was white and the other was blackish in complexion. They were decorated with flower garlands, with the Srivatsa and Kaustuba gems, and they wore shark-shaped earrings. Mother Sachi could also see her daughter-in-law within the heart of her son. She became totally overcome with emotion and bewilderment. And then the vision disappeared, and she fell to the ground with torrents of tears and love. And as she fell to the ground, all the rice that she was holding scattered all over the floor. So Mother Sachi was in a very overwhelmed state. Lord Chaitanya immediately got up. He washed his hands and calmed down his beloved mother. Very quickly she revived, but then she went inside her room and still crying tears of love, breathing heavily, her body shivering in transcendental ecstasy, totally ecstatic with the love of God, after seeing Chaitanya and Nityananda as Krishna and Balaram manifest in her own house. Because for her, Chaitanya was her beloved son. Just like in Nityananda to the residents of Ekachakra, he was their beloved Nitai, the village boy, just like Lord Krishna in Goloka Vrindavan. They don't have that awe and reverence. We have to understand who God is, the majesty of God. That Krishna is the Adi Purusha, the original source of everything. But ultimately we need to come to the highest stage of developing that beautiful, loving relationship with Krishna. And this is what we are teaching in the International Society of Krishna Consciousness. This is what our Brahma, Madhava, Gaudiya Sampradaya teaching us. The highest level that we can have these intimate, loving relationships with Krishna. But step by step, we can gradually come up. And as we hear today, Nityananda Trayodasi, we can take shelter of Lord Nityananda's holy lotus feet. And then we can get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then we can get the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and then we can only approach Radha Krishna. It's very important to understand this. Okay, there's so many more things here that we could talk about. There's so many beautiful pastimes of Lord Nityananda in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, and I encourage you all to read those books. I'll just tell one more story, can I? So at 12:30, now the deities are having their offering. At 12:30, that's going to be the arati ceremony, so we'll be singing some nice bhajans here. I'll just tell us one more pastime. It's interesting. So one day, Nityananda was performing a great kirtan in Panihati with his devotees, and he had the 3 brothers there, the Ghosh brothers. They were famous devotees of that time: Srila Govinda, Sri Madhava Ghosh, and Srila Vasudev Ghosh. They were expert kirtaniers and very devotional. So as the melodious and heartfelt devotion filled the atmosphere, Sri Nityananda Prabhu became overwhelmed with ecstatic love, and he entered into a divine trance and began to dance for a very, very long time. And then he went and sat down on the deity's altar. So the great devotee Raghava Pandit, understanding the exalted position of Nityananda Prabhu, he arranged for a grand abhishek, a bathing ceremony, to honor Lord Nityananda. So all the devotees bathed the Lord with water from the Ganges, and everyone sang his glories. After Abhishek, they dressed him with new clothes and applied sandalwood paste to his body, giving flower garlands and tulsi leaves. And then the Lord mercifully glanced at everybody, lovingly showering them with Krishna prema. So as I'm saying this, I'm thinking that the deities also have been lovingly bathed. Abhishek has been done so lovingly, and very soon they're going to give us their darshan. They're going to come and arrive here, and we're going to see them in their new outfits, in their flower garlands, nicely fresh. So just like that original Abhishek that was done by the devotees there. So the Lord glanced at everybody lovingly, showering them all with Krishna prema, and he will be doing that for us all soon too. So turning to Raghava Pandit, Lord Nityananda ordered him to make a garland of kadamba flowers. But Raghava Pandit humbly said, but it's not the season for kadamba flowers, there's no, I'm sorry, but we can't do that. So Nityananda said, well, just go to your home and see. So he went back to his house and looked, and sure enough, there was a lemon tree or a lime tree there, and on that tree was abundance of kadamba flowers growing. So such is the miracles of Sri Nityananda Prabhu. So he made the kadamba flowers appear on the lime tree. So Raghava Pandit humbly made a beautiful garland and presented that to Nityananda. And all the devotees were drowning in pools of ecstasy. So many beautiful pastimes of Lord Nityananda there. So I'm just going to finish. So on saying about Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita is written by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who was a very old man at the time when he wrote that. He was over 90 years old, and he didn't feel himself qualified. He felt himself unable to do it, but he had so many indications from the devotees and even from the deity that he should go ahead and do this. So by the mercy of the spiritual master, one can do miraculous things. And each and every one of you, each and every one of us, if we take the message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, take the message of Nityananda into our hearts, then so many wonderful things can happen. We can all be very instrumental in helping spread this great message of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu around the world. I think we'll close it there. There's so many more nice things to say, but thank you very much for your patience, everyone, and I'm so happy to be with you all, and I look forward to coming back. I can't come back in April, but I'm looking forward to coming back, if the Lord allows, next December or January, and then spending more time with you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
So Her Grace Janaki Mataji ki Jai. Can we say three Hari Bol? Hari Bol! Thank you very much, Mataji, for being with us to celebrate Nityananda Tridasi. So devotees, this is what's going to happen next. Soon we will have the Arati, and we decided that it's best to bring their lordships here so that all of us can be here rather than having to push ourselves in that small area. But before that, we want to take this opportunity to thank all the departments.